Welcome on in, everyone, to the Proving Grounds, powered by Verizon. I'm Mazel, joined by the one, the only, the first time we're seeing his beautiful face on PG, Rafa Cass, and I got BDB Beatdown Boulevard with me too, and we're ringing in the second day of round 2 here in the Proving Grounds. How you feeling, guys?
Dude, I am in a panic right now, but it's okay because Proving Grounds, I felt like this time. I woke up yesterday and it was January, right? We had just started Academy, and we've already had 3 days of Proving Grounds. We're into the main event, technically round 2, and I just feel like it just passed by in a blink. So you got to appreciate every day that comes to you guys. That's what I was just telling you.
You absolutely do, and I'm very excited that, you know, we get it every day of the week now, 5 days straight for the whole week. So I'm very excited to get so many games, but it is sad that we have to inch ever so closer to those finals. But let's go ahead and bring up the tournament bracket and see a little bit of what we had going on previously and then what we're looking forward to, especially in this round 2, which does have the double elim feature to it. So if you lose here, it's not all sad and shambles. You get to move on and prove yourself once again here in the Proving Grounds.
You know, I thought Beatdown was gonna.
You know what? Beatdown was gonna take it. Funny story. I had it perfectly lined up. You know what? We're just gonna move right past that. You're exactly right, Lennon. It's great that there is the double limb feature because amateur fans haven't really been eating the last couple of days, and to be fair, it is to be expected. However, that's why it's so nice that these teams get a second chance at life. And of course, we have our Academy v Amateur initial clash ups haven't ended yet because we got 2 more right here.
Exactly that. That's what's so exciting because we do have Team Liquid Academy taking on Winthrop University, and then we have TL Academy taking on, said TL already, Immortals AOE taking on Dignitas Academy. But first, before we get to all the fun, all the action, we got to shout out to some of the Winthrop squad because they had a meeting of sorts, and they will be judging. All right, yes. Bradley, I don't know if you saw it. You got added. I hope you did, but your fate will be decided by the Council of 3.
Bradley's got to be keeping his eyes out because he thinks he's in a 1v1 with Mabud in the top lane. No. That's about to be a 3-on-1. Frost Force and Ivano about to both show up, and Bradley's not going to have a good time anymore.
He is definitely not. And hey, maybe he'll show us what he's shown us for the rest of the split. TLA are a scary team, albeit something else that's a little bit scary and interesting. I don't know if it ends up being scary, but the conversation of so many of our this year proving talent in Academy coming from amateur. And I know, Rafa, you put together a little video with Smacks to talk a little bit about that. So let's see what you found out.
Over the years, the League of Legends community has had a fairly negative bias towards our talent development here in North America. Some would say lack of talent here in North America. Heck, W. Got him, right? No, there is talent here. And in fact, there's been quite a number of players who have been promoted from amateur to academy in the past 2 years. And that number is 27. 27. 3 of those players in Tanas, Poom, and Jojapyeon all found their way from amateur to academy and then LCS. And of course, one exception, Danny, went straight from amateur to the big stage in 2021. The remaining number of players who have made their full-length academy debut split over the course of spring and summer 2021 and spring 2022 is 23. That's almost half of the entire academy pool. Many of these players were unknown quantities, but their raw talent alone thrilled us in amateur. Now, they're playing in academy, a competitive environment where they can focus and get access to resources they didn't have before. Building team fundamentals, improving communication, expanding playstyles, controlling impulses, furthering themselves as individuals. Basically, they get to level up their game, all the while still displaying that raw talent they became known for in the first place. This is how talent development is supposed to function. And believe it or not, it works. As we watch Proving Grounds unfold, keep an eye out for these players who have built themselves up in Academy. And while you're at it, also keep an eye out for some hidden gems among the amateur teams this year. There's no question. Here in Proving Grounds, we witness the the making of future stars of the LCS.
Oh, Bradley! It's gonna be Bradley! Can he find the barrels here? It's just the parlay!
Well, the fight continuing, but now Surdy has joined. He has his ultimate, and he's angry.
But they can get a quadra kill immediately out of the gate.
Taking a lot of damage there. APA gets out alive. Viper is on the run, though, and so much in response comes through.
A lot of damage, he's gonna get picked. Shockwave on the three! The double from the team! And that's it! That's the game! That's the series! That is Proving Ground!
It literally brings chills to, like, I have goosebumps right now because it does show that there is some forward movement in talent development. It does show that this system is on its way to becoming something that we can be proud of, and that these players are willing to put everything on the line to make it happen.
Yeah, Proving Grounds is so sick, man. I mean, just we've had multiple iterations of the talent pipeline over the years. You know, mainly Scouting Grounds and then the SGC Scouting Ground circuit during 2019 and 2020. But I think Proving Grounds has been the best iteration so far of being able to get amateur to academy in some form of way and leveling up the overall play of NA here.
For sure. It's been a great addition to the amateur scene. Like, absolutely. Like, you just see, like, the fact that it's part of it is that direct interaction with academy that I think makes it so good, because of course, not always can amateur teams like overcome, but that's why it's called Proving Grounds. It's about being able to show up, get in front of as many eyes as possible, and show that NA has a lot of young players with potential worth investing in. And I mean, the video states it. We've been talking about it the last couple of days. That turnover from last year to this year really shows that.
And I know this is kind of a throw to traditional sports, but that's something I love so much about March Madness is the underdog stories, the dream teams, the 5 people in a room together that just want to play some video games and somehow make it by destroying these top tier teams. And it is always something to look out for. It's always something fun to keep an eye out for as well. So I'm so excited to be able to kick this off. Let's talk about the schedule going into today, though, as we already foreshadowed to it. It will be Team Liquid Academy taking on Winthrop University in our first best of 3, and then it's going to be Immortals AOE taking on Evil Geniuses Academy.
Yeah, both of these matchups have... Wait a minute. That's not correct.
It is not correct. Yeah, I was just I went off the screen and not on my Reddit show, which is probably not what I should do. Dignitas Academy is going to be that last game
against Immortals AOE. We did just we won't see Evil Geniuses until tomorrow when they play against Counter Logic Gaming Academy, but we did see Evil Geniuses last week. But starting with that first series, Team Liquid and Winthrop, we already kind of hinted at it with the Frost Force tweet towards Bradley. Boom! There
we go.
Easy swap.
It was my old age, you know, the gray hair. It just like it was hard to get a handle on.
Eyes aren't what they used to be, Lennon.
Oh man. But the Team Liquid Winthrop series, and when we start with that one, Mazel, that is where we are taking what is potentially our probably favorite seed from Academy going into Proving Grounds, and Winthrop is our last collegiate team representing the scene here in the Proving Grounds tournament.
Indeed so. BDB, I don't know if you had anything to say about that matchup, but I think Winthrop will have a tall task ahead of them today. And especially, I'm very much looking forward to that secondary matchup there, the second series, because I think that one's going to just have all the fireworks we could possibly ever ask for. But you know, if you do want to follow any of that action, you want to follow any of the information, or if you're at all interested in the Proving Grounds, you know, you should go follow a certain Twitter. It says it should be @Path2LCS. If you haven't followed it already, there's something wrong with your Twitter. There's something wrong with your hands. I don't know. You can't hit the follow button. Make sure you go follow. We've been putting out content. We've been putting out information about the tournament itself, and it's super important to be able to share that information with the community and make it feel like a community itself. Guess that. All right. I thought you guys were going to have something to say about LCS. We're going to go ahead and send it away to a little break while we can get ready for the first series that we have of the day. And we will see you on the other side of this short little break. We'll be right back.
ょう。坊主って何？見ているよ。なあ、アカデミーを見ることと、アニメを見ることと、同じだろうよ。ラジオ、ケンリ選手のKのは、お前はもう死んでいる。すげえ。ダイヤモンド選手は罠を仕掛ける。それから、勝った。計画通り。そうだすれば、スレパ選手のあれは、ねえねえ、ライオマ選手もアトミックサムライワンパンマンで、アトミックかっこいい。
There it is! Moonfall and the last breath finds Spawn! Golden Guardians and the flash from Ryoma!
納得させた、俺は。よし、行くぞ。
Welcome on back, everyone, as we're getting prepped and ready to go for our first best of 3 of the day. We've got Team Liquid Academy taking on Winthrop University. I'm Mazel, joined by Rafa and Beatdown Boulevard. Yet again, we did not change this time around. Guys, it's going to be a hot matchup, and I'm very, very excited to see these two go up against each other, even though it might be a little bit of a one-sided matchup on paper.
There is one change, though, Mazel. And I had the shirt buttoned up for a reason.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah. Because you know, this is how I feel about Proving Grounds and the matches today. It's PogChamp City, baby. We're gonna have a hell of a time. Let's go, baby.
All right.
Let's get right
if
into
that's
it.
the theme for the day, I'll take it. I take it all the time. Thank you, Rafa. It's gonna be a fun one. Both these matchups are so hype in different ways, right? And I'm really excited to talk about this first one, right? We got Team Liquid Academy coming in, as you said earlier, as you foreshadowed to, one of our favorites coming into the Proving Grounds, feeling like they're back to their form of last year, even though things changed a little bit with Bradley in the top lane, but a former Proving Ground star of his own right.
The other thing, too, about Bradley is when he came from Wildcard Gaming, he was a mid laner. And so for anyone who, you know, may have not been, you know, tuning in or keeping up with the players and in the Academy season overall, Bradley has role swapped to top lane for Team Liquid Academy. And at first, you know, the first couple of weeks, he's still working out the laning phases and learning the matchups. But when it comes to team fighting, oh man, Bradley is still the same monster that he was back on Wildcard.
And the thing about that, too, is he was one of those players when he first came up in the amateur scene, even in collegiate at times playing for Bethany Red as well. We were all universally in agreement that, look, it's not about when Bradley is getting into, or it's not if he's getting into Academy, it's when. Like, we're seeing Bradley in Academy next year. The question was just, what team is he going on? I will admit, we weren't expecting the role swap, but I think now that the growing pains have been mostly taken care of, and the team fighting, of course, still being there in the later parts of the game, he's really living up to that potential we all saw in him.
It's always been the mechanics for me for Bradley, and that guy still has the hands all day long. But on the other side of the rift, we'll have Winthrop University, who in their own right have been collegiate superstars, but we'll see how they match up against the Academy talent here in Proving Grounds. And as you said, Rafa, earlier, the last remaining collegiate representative here.
Yeah, both of the Maryville squads got knocked down in the play-in stage by EG and TSM Academy, respectively. So, you know, valiant attempts from both of them. Winthrop, because they made it all the way to the main event, they get 2 lives. So even if they drop this series against Team Liquid Academy, they still have a chance to run through the lower bracket. And there are some, you know, players that we have to look out for on this Winthrop squad here, Beatdown. For sure. Frost Forest immediately comes to mind. There was a time where he was away from the team, of course, for a bit, and Mordio was in, but as soon as he came back, even though Winthrop did stumble a little bit, I think things looked really good overall. And Frost Forest is just that kind of player where when Winthrop's style is, this man is basically the brain here. He's the one who helps guide the decisions that they are going for here and essentially leads the team to whatever victory that they get. And I mean, we look at the rest of the roster too. There's actually a lot of solid players here in collegiate and amateur overall. We talk about Ivano a lot. Mabud is definitely a top laner that people have been keeping an eye out in amateur, and you have Vex in the bottom lane. You got a lot of people on this team in terms of the amateur scene that we've been keeping our eyes on, but of course it is all about Frost Forest. You see it in how he's able to make these early game plays, find these early game leads for his team.
Yeah, and for me, it's also seeing how much that time on Cloud9 Academy helped him in at all. If it did improve some of that communication, some of that Utah engage that we always love to see from Frost Forest. But you know, experience is time, and time is experience, if they say. And Frost Force from Winthrop has had a decent amount of star or spotlight, rather, I guess, for himself as a player.
Yeah, and I like that you highlighted the fact that he was a C9 Academy sub, because when Cloud9 were still waiting on a majority of their players for the LCS squad, they had to bump up some of the Academy players to the main stage, and they pulled in Speedo, Kitong, and Frost Force into the Cloud9 Academy squad until all the Academy players could come back in. Mouse was also another one who was still waiting on his visa to be able to come in from Korea at the time. So Frost Force, I learned a lot just within the 2-3 weeks alone after speaking with him, and he definitely remarked on, like, wow, this is one of the most coordinated teams I've been able to play on, and just a squad where, like, I was able to build a lot more team communication fundamentals, and he's definitely bringing that back to Winthrop.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And I think seeing the TSM amateur experience as well is always interesting for himself. But now going back to the conversation we were having earlier about the top laner for Team Liquid Academy, Bradley did have the role swap coming from mid, having still mechanical prowess, being able to take some of those mid lane champions into the top side. But all in all, seeing the improvement, right? We're all about development, and seeing Bradley over this last 9 weeks, it's been incredible to see his glow up.
The greatest thing is that the laning phase has also improved. I know we talked a little bit about it, and the criticism was early on. It's like, I mean, he's just picking up this role for the first time, so a lot of the lane matchups are going to be fairly new to him, and because of that, there were a lot of solo deaths against some of the more experienced top laners. I know Dokla and Darshan definitely got the better of him, but a lot of those times, in even those laning matchups where he was initially losing lane or down CS, he still came through in the team fights. He was pumping out damage. Gangplank, definitely one of the most signature picks, and I know Beatdown, you even noticed this, that we forgot to bring up on some of the Academy broadcasts, but Bradley has so far the most unique picks out of any player in Academy coming into this tournament.
Right, and he's tied with Viper, of course, over at TMSM Academy, but like that was an astonishing thing, like watching back some of the tape, looking at some of the champions played, and realizing, wow, the dude has definitely got an ocean here, and it's not just in top lane, it's literally of any role coming through here. And it's funny that both of the ones who are tied are both top laners, but that's the thing too. He, of course, can play some of these mid lane champions in the top lane, and that has been helpful at times, seeing things like the Silas come through, the Akali, and things like that. But ultimately, I think he's been doing really well, really developing into his role as a top laner. Of course, mostly that being in the earlier parts of the game where we have seen him struggle, where we have seen him get taken advantage of. But it's been a great thing to see developed. You know, they say the master is the eternal student, so it never really stops. Even once you leave amateur, you're still learning, you're still growing, and it's great to see that Bradley is doing exactly that.
And for me, it's also some of that experience that he's garnered along the way, right? Yes. Winning all 3 PG Tier 2 tournaments with Wildcard Gaming, having those top CLOL finishes with Bethany Lutheran, and being the standout for that team in those kinds of wins. So this guy has definitely gathered some accolades on his way to Academy, at least in the community's feelings, but still that development, that progress is always so important with these kinds of moments, especially when you're going into a matchup like this against Winthrop. I think it's all that more important to show you are above the rest.
Come on, man. This is what Proving Grounds is all about. You know, just being able to show progress, and I want to see, now that on probably the most favorite squad to win the tournament, if not at least top 2 or top 3, that will at least put Bradley higher than when he finished with Wildcard during the last summer tournament as well.
They will indeed, as I do get the word in my ear from a little birdie named Production that we are ready to go for Champ Select #1. So fellas, take it away.
I'm taking it. I'm gonna do this again, Mazel. I'm gonna actually take it. I did that to Mazel a few times, and he was like, "What?
What are you doing, Mark?
Take it away, Rafa.
It's mine."
All right, Winthrop Team Liquid. To put a little summary on this matchup for anyone that is just tuning in now, Beatdown, this is the favorite, one of the top performer Academy squads. They are the tied for the most wins in the second round robin for Academy. So if we were to take rankings just off of the second round robin, they would technically maybe be in first place. And the reason why that they're only 4th is because, not because of the Team Liquid Forever 4th meme, it's because of the first round robin. They couldn't get all of their starting players in for the squad. I mean, Ayla had to go play in LCS because Core JJ, they were dealing with visa issues.
Yep.
I know Harry wasn't also in for the squad. So Bjergsen stepped in to sub for a couple weeks as well for the games. And just not having your starting roster doesn't allow Team Liquid to play to their fullest.
Right. And like they're so, you really got to stress the point too, where it's like, yes, sure, you have Bjergsen, one of like famous player, one of the best who's ever done it, join the team too, but it isn't that simple kind of a plug and play here thing in League of Legends. You got to be on the same pace as your team, and not having that consistent roster really hampers that, like you're pointing out, Mark. So with that being said, it really goes to show what Team Liquid are capable of once they got that solid roster going through. And I even remember when we were talking about, when I was asking you what tape you think I should be watching, you said Beatdown. Look at week 7. That's when things start to turn it around for them, especially like they've had it. Not only is everybody back together, full as 5, the team that's supposed to be there, but they've also had time together to really work it out. And that's how they get to that point where they're tied for the most amount of wins in that second round robin. And now we're going to see if that dominance keeps up here as they face Winthrop University.
And I know there are going to be some diehard collegiate fans in here. I know we even have some passionate esports parents in the chat for some of the Winthrop boys as well. Shout outs to them. I don't want to lie to you. This is going to be a very tough opponent for Winthrop University. They're playing one of the best teams projected to go super far in the tournament. So if Winthrop are able to stand toe-to-toe, let alone take a game off of them, that is something to celebrate for the squad.
Right, absolutely. And that's the thing too, it kind of starts in the jungle matchup, I think, especially with, even though of course we highlight Bradley as we should, I think when I look at this team as well of Team Liquid, I really do look at Armeo and how good he has been for the squad. This dude is great at, he basically dictates the pace for the team, and one of the best champions I've seen him on so far, watching back on the tape, is that Hecarim. Him being able to get this champion who's really risen in priority at this point in time, I think automatically right off the bat bodes so very well for Team Liquid Academy.
Well, Winthrop answering back with the Senna. We haven't seen too much Senna priority, at least in Academy, and I do not recall if any of the amateur teams against the Academy teams last week brought it up in the first couple of rounds of play beatdown.
I don't believe so, no. At least not on Friday. It has not been brought out very much here in the PGCQ. It's been seen a little bit of priority. Look at other regions as well. It is an interesting lane, especially now that we are on 12.5B.
Hold up.
Oh, well, the Zeri is actually getting through here. What are we holding up for? Is that it?
Yeah, but beatdown. Have you heard of what the latest Zeri counter strat is?
I actually haven't. What is it?
So there have been teams that have been running Senna paired with a particular champion that is normally played in the top lane.
Is it Sion?
No, it's Nasus.
Oh,
because
is it because of Wither?
Yes,
I knew it.
It's specifically because of Wither. Now, if you are an underdog team in this scenario, I am totally for pulling out something that has been not seen that much before, because that will throw even a top Academy team into a wrench, because then they have to figure out on the fly, okay, how do we play against this, right? Because no one else has pulled it out before. I don't know if Winthrop will pull the trigger and give us the Nasus quite yet. They probably have to wait out for the remainder of the pick and ban phase, because with the Seraphine lock-in, I'm expecting this to go to Ivano.
The thing is, I actually am on the opposite side of that than you, Rafa. Thinking that, because of the changes that came through with Seraphine recently, she's not as, because her shielding on her W used to be determined by her champion level, and now it's points. And because it's your second max, I think you're okay with having, the less experience that you would have in the support role compared to in a solo lane. So it does make me doubt that we're seeing the Nasus come through here, but it is possible. I'm not going to remove the opportunity, or rather, I'm not going to remove the possibility there. And the other thing, too, I want to highlight real quickly is that we're also seeing Harry's LeBlanc come out. And Mark, that's a little scary. I believe he's 6-1 on the pick. It is one of his highest win rate champions. And it feels like Team Liquid in this draft are getting everything that they want.
Yeah, Jan, also, if you're not on Twitter, you would have... missed out on Jan posting one of the first Zeri clips that we ever got to see of the champion, where he is just zipping around and being able to kite out multiple opponents. He is very, very adept at this champion already. One of the very early onsetters of Zeri being played in the Academy level. The rest, as you already mentioned before, Hecarim and LeBlanc being secured here for Team Liquid. This is a very comfort set of core champions for them. And right now, you already know that Team Liquid trying to eliminate some potential counter picks. They're getting rid of the Kai'Sa because they are also in the same line of thinking of you, Beatdown. They don't think that that's Seraphine's mid lane. They think it's going to be in the support role alongside Senna. And the Kai'Sa mid, I know, has been propping up a lot.
Oh my god. Okay, we're seeing Ivano. He's locking in the Malzahar, and they're saving counter pick for Mabud. And this is, this has been a very standard answer to the LeBlanc lately at many levels of play, where that anytime LeBlanc wants to go in with the distortion, immediately Nethergrasp comes through here. And it is actually very difficult for LeBlanc to actually get through the game there when the sort of thing is happening, especially if you are starting to fall behind. Feels like everything you want to do ends up getting nullified here. And okay, wow, we're seeing the Bard as well.
Dude, I love this. This draft is so fun.
Yeah,
I think we're seeing like at least 2 or 3 new champions within the Proving Grounds tournament alone. So I'm all for it. We'll have to kind of break down how these new pieces come together. Something a little bit more standard though. Blind pick Camille for Bradley
Makes
in
sense.
the top lane. Gives him split push pressure as well as, you know, the ability to withstand most laning matchups.
Yeah, and I think that was hinted at with the Jack span as well, because it's one of the few things that outscale Camille in the side lane, and it works really well with the Hecarim because you need someone to dive in, and it does make it you do kind of add to this multi-threat composition when you're looking at the back line of Winthrop University, thinking, okay, yes, I can nether grasp the LeBlanc, but can I also nether grasp the Hecarim, the Camille, the Zeri? You know what I mean? So you do have, there is a lot of things Ivano has to be worrying about on this pick, but of course, when you see this matchup, you know your job is, all right, Harry, you're not playing League of Legends today. I would say I'm sorry, but I'm really not. Malzahar players are unapologetic. You know that.
Yeah, point and click suppress button. There's only a few people in this world who really like Malzahar, and those are people who they're Robbie Bob, yes, one of them. Also Joshi. Basically, these are people, they get fun out of making other players not have fun and not get to play the game. And it's a twisted sense of enjoyment.
You know what? I always knew something was off about Joshi. I really liked him, but you're really putting the pieces together for me now, Mark. So I appreciate you for that.
I didn't mean to derail this into a
no, I'm kidding. I love Joshi. You know what? That's the thing, though. When you're friends, you accept people and their shortcomings, like playing Malzahar, Mark. So, you know, it's okay.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Usually the funny thing is on from the academy side of things, we have a theme of me and Joshi just sneaking in a jab at Cubby because that's, you know, how we show our affection for him. But now I guess we're doing the same thing to Joshi. It's karma.
Yeah.
I wonder, did you and Magical throw punches my way on the Friday broadcast?
No, but you just guaranteed that I'm throwing punches towards you next Monday when I'm on. I wasn't thinking about it, but now that it's in my brain, it's going to start to fester. It's going to start to grow.
I've just set myself up to get roasted.
You know what it is, Mark? You know what it is, Mark? You just want me to prove my affection for you, and I want you to know I'm happy to oblige.
All right. Well, you know what? I can respect that. We should be getting on the Rift soon because I can definitely hear the game sounds in my end, but I know we're not quite to live yet. And when we get to the Rift beatdown, I want to quickly go over once again, reiterating, Team Liquid, heavy favorites here.
Yes.
Please don't be sad if Winthrop lose. It's like this is. It should be more of a celebration if Winthrop stand toe-to-toe.
Absolutely.
Okay? Yeah. And then, moreover, you should take in awe of how well Team Liquid are going to play, because based on what we saw out of Week 7 and Week 8, they are playing like the top Academy team right now.
For sure. And I mean, yeah, we do want to make those expectations very clear just to understand what this one's going to look like. But we said it in the pre-show when Mazel was with us, Mark. This is what Proving Grounds is about, showing up so that you can prove yourself, so that you can try to go toe-to-toe with the best teams outside of the LCS here. So as long as Winthrop can hang at any point in this series or against any Academy team, Mark, that is a win.
For many of these players, too, this is their first Proving Grounds qualification ever. Never before. You know, Frostforce probably one of the closest ones last year, both on the Winthrop squad. Barely couldn't make it in during the Nerd Street last chance qualifier in the spring, and on TSM Amateur during the Unified Grand Prix. Just 2 teams short, out of reach. So already, huge props to Winthrop for being able to make it this far, and you know, this is just progress overall.
It's a beautiful thing. And I think now, at this point, what I want to be talking about is just kind of like what these teams are expecting with these compositions and what we should be expecting from them. Because I think in this early game, usually when you block in things like the LeBlanc, like shifting over to Team Liquid side, you have this Hecarim, isn't going to be able to find too many gank angles in the early game, but clears faster than the Viego would. So if opportunities present themselves at the start and end of players, you're not too worried about looking for some of these gank angles. But now it is going to be a little harder to have Harry involved in any early action, because we already know early on Malzahar's wave clear is actually pretty decent, so it's going to be hard for him to be for Harry to find some angles to get out of lane early.
Yeah, Ivano, in the Malzahar lane, you are just trying to ride out any early lethality that Harry is looking for as a LeBlanc, any kill potentials. And then if you get to level 6, you're like, yo, Frost Force, you want a free kill? I got you. Come over here. I'm gonna
lock you
grass
down,
this man. Yeah. That's all it is, man. You know, but simple, clean execution plays can allow for even an underdog team like Winthrop to find a surprise victory, or at least some, you know, just blows to trade against Team Liquid.
I'm glad you bring that up, because that's kind of to my next point too here, where their composition is about this more kind of simple front to back style of team fighting here. You have Mabud, who's going to be that primary form of engage with that Mega Gnar, and of course the Encore coming through from Kenji does extend when past their teammates, and wow. Oh, Kenji.
Yeah, early flash force from Kenji. However, they're forcing both of the summoner spells out of Yawn, just stepping a little too far forward after the aftermath of the trade. And Vex and Kenji, yes, they're the ones on the back foot, but they're still fighting back.
They are, and I mean, already Senna's healing in lane is, I think, a little bit underrated. So it is something that Yawn and Ayla will have to be careful of, because, I mean, Zeri's not very strong in the early parts of the game. Usually with that champ, you wait till an item or two before you actually look for fights. So if Yawn and Ayla aren't careful, they could end up giving away gold in some 2v2 kills here. And speaking of what I was talking about earlier, Armeo has already gotten the full clear, is going for the scuttle, and we'll see if he wants to find any other play. I think it might just be better for him to recall, though, because when you're a champ like who wants to power from like Hecarim, unless you have a very obvious angle, just recall, spend your gold, get back on the map.
Oh, but Armeo and Ayla say, you know what? We're barred. We can go for the magical tunnel behind the tower and look for the devastating charge. Ivano immediately tries to flash, but Armeo should have enough damage to claim first blood.
It doesn't get any cleaner than that, Mark. That's the beauty of the Bard pick. You can come from angles people might not be expecting, and I'll tell you what, Ivano, he was not expecting that one.
Frost Force might be looking for something here onto Harry. Harry gets rooted up, and Frost Force, I don't think should have enough damage to be able to get a kill onto Harry and neither force a summoner spell, but it does delay the recall. It's going to give Ivano a free wave to push in.
Yeah, and it does mean that he might be able to get a good recall off if he wants to, but either way, is Frost Force at least helping out some of his laners here, especially because Ivano was already forced to blow Flash and Teleport after getting ganked like that, as we saw in the replay, and now that means that already early gold in favor of Team Liquid, and they've been doing a good job so far in playing the early game, even throughout Academy. It has just been so clean from players like Armeo and Ayla, and I'm looking for them to do the same thing as this early game progresses.
He's fine.
He's fine. If that chain hit, maybe.
Now, we might have to revisit that discussion later. You know, Ivano has been doing a decent job so far surviving the laning phase against Harry. And the Bard gank, though, that, I mean, you can forgive Ivano. It's like,
oh yeah, for sure. How do you? Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, that's right. No, you know, not a lot of people play Bard, so it's like Zach, where it takes you a game to like get used to it, or a couple ganks to be like, oh yeah, he can do that. As we're seeing Frost Forest get some of his camp stolen here, and I mean, Frost Forest is one of those players, Mark, that we highlighted in the pre-show as well. He was the player to watch for on Winthrop University, and he's playing the Viego champion that in the later parts of the game, you get him some items, you get him some levels, and he can have a big impact in the team fights once he starts resetting.
And you have great ways to set up those plays again. Oh, come on, Team Liquid. You impressed us before, but you're going to do Ivano dirty like this once again. But Team Liquid, this is the team that we expected to not only pull out all the stops.
It's an execute.
Wait, turn off the camera.
No, okay. we can't be showing people this.
But But for Team Liquid, you know,
That
at
makes
least
sense.
Armeo, it's an execute, you know, probably would have been nice if it doesn't go down. However, Frostforce now makes his first appearance on the map, ganking Bradley.
Oh,
and
the flash.
Frostforce flashing
Really
in
nice.
place to make sure that Bradley does not get the second cast of the hook shot over the wall. Well played by Winthrop.
Really nice catch there from Frostforce, being able to get that stop like you called out, and you get that extra bit of gold. You do give Maba that bit of breathing room in the matchup. He won't be able to freeze the wave top, but I mean, that's gold in this Viego. The champ, we said later on into the game, once you accelerate him, will be doing very well. And we're going to see the replay of yet another kill there onto Vano in the mid lane, and it just, I think, insult to injury that Armeo executed to. No gold over to Ivano.
And now Ayla is going to try the same trick, this time into Vex and Kenji. Nice two-man Cosmic Binding. Doesn't force Kenji to burn any summoner spells from him or Vex. And Armeo now looking for maybe a dive.
Okay, the pink ward will make it so he'll probably have to think twice, and it buys time for Kenji to reset. The other thing, too, is Frostforce is in the area, and he's actually a level ahead of Armeo. No Onslaught of Shadows available for the jungler of Team Liquid Academy. And something, and they should know that, too. So if the dragon is started up, since Kenji is on the way back to this fight, maybe we'll see something come through.
It might just be too late here, though. Beat down 2,000 HP already on the dragon. Kenji is just about to hit the turret. It's not going to get in range. I like the angle. Would have been spicy for Winthrop. But Winthrop going to play it just a little bit more safe, allowing the first dragon to go over to Team Liquid. Nothing, not game ending quite yet, right? We're nowhere close to the soul point.
No, of course not. I mean, with both farming junglers, either team is pretty happy being able to snag that first dragon. Either team will be happy playing towards that dragon soul. But I think overall, you're not too perturbed if you're Winthrop University. Again, Frostforce has been spending this time farming things out, kind of as we expected. One thing we didn't point out is that Vex is going the fasting center route, where you take the support item, you're not farming, and you do, in that situation, do end up giving a lot of gold over into Kenji's pocket, which can help, because Seraphine's wave clear is also something that is pretty underrated at times. It tends to surprise people. You get the echo from her passive on the Q, and it's like, where did the wave go, Mark? Where did it go?
It disappeared. Now, Kenji, the nice thing, too, about getting gold into a Seraphine hold-up, Ayla looking for another Bean Boozled moment. They both flash the Encore, and now there's no CC to lock down either Yon or Ayla, but Ayla's got to play this one slow. It's got to be Yon that puts out the damage. Kenji finally flashing away. Flash from Vex. Still gets rooted up by the Cosmic Binding, but Yon and Ayla just not being able to put them down quite yet.
No, but the pressure is being laid on by Yon and Ayla. That's the thing, too. Of course, the sustain will be nice. Oh, wow, Ivano.
No,
yes,
he already used the ultimate. Oh, he solo killed Harry in the mid lane. Wait a minute.
Wow.
Or there was a 2v1, I think, between him and Frostforce being able to lock down Harry, and then Frostforce went over to the Rift Herald, and then Armeo's like, you're not allowed to be here. You have nothing anymore.
Well, lucky for us, Mark, we're going to get a replay of exactly how that took place. Ivano, with the help of Frostforce, it looks like. You called it. Set him up. You can knock him down, as the kill will go over to Frostforce for his second. So both junglers getting their fair share of gold. And also in that time, Frostforce has been able to get himself the Rift Herald. And now he's going to look to finish those top camps, reset. And I think the call for him is probably drop that in the bottom lane. You make a play now that you're level 7, now that you're getting close to your first item. Get some gold onto Vex and Kenji. And at the same time, you can also slow down Yon and Ayla.
So far, the two players that have had the most gold injected have been Armeo and Frostforce. So we're starting to see a battle of the two junglers. And when we think about how both of these players' playstyles have been made on the stage here, for both either in the academy level or for the amateur level, both of these players have made their names through, well-coordinated plays and being able to have set coordination with the rest of the team. And it's not necessarily about, displaying strong, mechanical feats where you're seeing like a huge Nidalee Spear play from someone like Kenvi, right? It's all about, I'm here at the right time and I'm setting up my team for success.
That is the big thing. And speaking of setup, see the vision that has been set up over this top side of the map. Oh, but it won't stop this play from happening onto Mabud with the hook shot missing. I think it's okay. And I like this from TL. Harry, of course, we highlighted how his opportunities to run would be few and far playing into this Malzahar, but it's nice that he's still able to get some and still able to try things out. Does mean that Ivano being able to clear that wave has a roam timer of his own, and you see him syncing up with Frost Forest. That's why Bradley.
Whoa, wait,
Bradley?
Bud? Is he about to get Bradley right here? But Armeo's in line, and Bradley. A lot of us would have thought that this is another moment where Bradley overestimates his strength, but he sets up the bait, and Mabud takes it down. Armeo's the one that claims the kill.
Armeo's claiming so much in this early game mark. 4-1 on this Hecarim. He's going to become a real nightmare horse as time goes on, and because he showed top, that gives Frost Force the opportunity we were expecting. Drop this Herald in the bot lane. You have a wave to play for, but he's deciding to walk away instead and actually not do that?
Could be waiting. And he's still sticking around. He hasn't set up a recall quite yet. The next dragon is coming up in 35 seconds. There also could be a shift where instead of he going for bottom lane, might look for a reset or look to hover mid lane, and then use that pressure mid lane, getting lane priority, then coordinating with the bottom lane to come over to the dragon. There's still 20 seconds left. Bottom lane is getting a reset off right now, but now with everyone's attention shifting towards the top side of the map, they could be giving over to the second dragon. This will put 2 points towards Team Liquid at Soul Point, but there's still enough time to make up for it if you're Winthrop.
Right, 2 dragons in a row, not a big deal. 3, then we're going to start to run into some problems. But for the moment, what Frost Forest does is because his top camps are spawning, he moves to the top lane. He is running out of time on that Rift Herald. It's going to have to be dropped top side, but you know Herald is going to be, or rather, you know the dragon is what Team Liquid Academy are looking for. So you know that you have this guaranteed 2v1.
Oh, nice. Animation cancel there. A hop into the Mega Gnar, but just... This is what Joshi would call a pokel. It's not necessarily looking to all-in Bradley. It's just enough damage to force him away and say, hey, you can no longer be here because I've got a jungler now, and if you stick around, then you are in lethal range. This Rift Herald crashes, and first brick is secured in exchange for that second dragon the Team Liquid got.
Yeah, so the play works out the way Winthrop are expecting here. They do manage to get that first turret, a lot of extra gold in their favor, and they might be able to even threaten this tier 2 as we're seeing the exchange of blue side jungles go for both of these junglers here. So you don't lose too much if you are Frost Forest. It is a calculated play. Getting gold onto Mabud, being another player we do highlight, is something that could really benefit them. Once getting him closer to some of those key item spikes so that when we get to team fights, well, you can do the damage we saw him do to Bradley in the 1v1.
And already, because of that first brick crash, you have now quite the access towards the top side of the map. Armeo is able to exchange, kind of do a handshake with Frost Force, and I get your bottom camps, you get my blue side camps.
Yep.
And it works out in the end. But Frost Force is quite accelerated, even though he's slightly behind in CS against Armeo. He's been keeping up with him. And, you know, the KDA, slightly different. 4 kills versus 2 for Frost Force. But in terms of gold, he's only behind 300. So admirable pacing for the jungler of Winthrop.
Agreed. And part of it is because of those plays, those trades of sides of the map that we were talking about here going through. Harry is going for something.
Oh, but Ayla, look
Beautiful.
at that. Just being right there, knowing that the Nether Grass was coming in, is able to save Harry from taking more damage than he could have, thanks to the Tempered Fate. Now Winthrop are not able to punish on the Yawn despite being in a 1v2.
We actually have a play potentially happening mid lane. No. Frost Force was forced to use the Heartbreaker in that response. So that is a key ultimate there when it comes to some of the skirmishing you're looking to do if you're Winthrop, but they're not at the point where they do want to be fighting just yet. 1 Mythic is available for Frost Force. You're probably waiting till Vex has one, till Ivano's able to get his. The problem is, TL, they don't need to wait for anything.
Oh god, here comes the party pony, and he rampages right on through, just stomping all over Kenji and Vex, and double kill is picked up for Yawn.
Beautiful play coming through here from Team Liquid Academy. More gold in their favor, and it's now ballooning this lead up to 2,000. Both Yawn and Armeo have shutdowns to their name, and they are looking mighty strong.
Team Liquid, 6-2, under 16 minutes. 2,000 gold lead. It's not nothing insanely huge. So Winthrop are still not incredibly far behind, but Team Liquid definitely in the driver's seat. Bradley gonna lock down Frost Force, and Harry comes in, flash distortion, immediately pops Frost Force like a balloon. Mabud has got nowhere else to run, locked down by the chains, and Team Liquid solo laners doing heavy work.
So much. Bradley really is nice finding that angle. We talked about how important that Hextech ultimatum is in these team fights, and this is just the skirmishes. You're able to set up for your players so very well. You're able to set up so that in the team fights, you can isolate people like Ivano if the passive shield is down, like Vex or Kenji. And already falling this far behind makes things harder for Winthrop as things goes on, because even though they do have really solid team fight tools, you have just as great engage on the side of Team Liquid Academy. And the fact that you could just see the confidence here from this squad, they know exactly what they want to be doing. They pull the trigger as soon as the opportunity presents itself. And that is something a top team, or that's something we expect from a top team.
I think the other thing too to note for Team Liquid, that even though the gold lead isn't, huge, it goes to show that Winthrop are, making some great moves, mainly in Frost Force, coordinating either with Ivano in the mid lane or on the top side of the map with Mabud and giving him an injection of gold. Team Liquid, just because, you make moves against some of their laners and quote unquote put them behind, they still know how to keep themselves in the game. And that is what marks a great Academy squad, is even when they're faced with challenges and, unexpected obstacles, they are able to problem solve and still push on through and maintain control.
That's exactly what Team Liquid Academy have been doing so far. And it's like you said, Bradley, honestly, despite all the attention top lane we saw from Phosphorus, Bradley did a good job keeping up in terms of CS. Now he finds himself in a small lead over Mabud, and this is only going to help this Camille continue to be that backline menace that we're expecting from, most of the members of Team Liquid Academy. So many members capable of diving in these team fights later on, and when you set people like Vex behind, like Ivano, it just makes what Winthrop University wants to do later on in the game harder, and it makes it, and speaking of later on, Mark, a minute from now, we're getting what's going to be the Ocean Soul point for Team Liquid Academy, and that is a must block for Winthrop.
Winthrop do not want Team Liquid to be on 3 dragons, because then it forces that every single dragon afterwards, you cannot just give up.
Nope.
You have to fight for it. But right now, Team Liquid ahead of the play, 45 seconds in advance. Their preparation, Frost Force already knows he was in a bad spot. Forced to use the Heartbreaker once again to get out over the wall. Wants to maintain flash. Winthrop currently pushed behind the crevices of that jungle quadrant. It doesn't even belong to them. Harry is there. Frost Force trying to face check. Eats about half of his HP as punishment, and the rest of Winthrop trying to funnel in.
This is a 5v5, potentially, Mark. The whole squad of both teams is in the area. Now with all this pressure, they're going to move mid to continue pressuring that mid tower, keeping mid priority, and they're just going to go ahead and drop that second Rift Herald. It's going to give them all the space they need to go ahead and start this dragon, and it's going to be the third one that, judging by Winthrop's, the way they're grouping, one that they aren't even going to fight for.
And even the magical journey from Ayla is just going to give Team Liquid just a little bit of faster entrance time into the Dragon Pit. 2,000 HP. Armail should just be able to lock this down. 3 dragons now for Team Liquid. And Winthrop, if you want to fight, you gotta make sure that Mabud is all mega form and angry, so he can go in for the big engage. Huge tempered fate. Cosmic Binding locks up 2. Armail following up with the onslaught.
That's his big charm.
But the encore from Kenji. They take down Armail, and another grass was enough to lock down the horse. And now the rest of Team Liquid, they have to scatter. Frost Force is now taking the form of Armail as the Hecarim, but has to go back with the Heartbreaker. Yon still keeping his distance. Mabud looking for the CC, but Yon, look how beautifully he's playing on the edge of life and death right now. Just making sure to dodge out on the CC. Harry looking for another re-entry. Frost Force has been taken down. Bradley with the flank is looking, and now Winthrop, they are being pulled apart.
The burst!
The glue is coming apart, and Team Liquid, with great patience, will pull apart Winthrop University. But Mabud might be able to win out one more before going down to Yon. He's about to go mega once again. Mabud just needs to be able to pop it, flashing over the wall, but Yon is still going to skate on over, looking for the play. One more auto attack should be able to do it, but Mabud, does he have the movement speed to get out?
You might.
Oh, this is just a long chase beatdown. Oh, it looks like Mabud will actually be able to survive.
House clenching the whole time. And I mean, honestly, considering the gold lead that Team Liquid Academy have going for them there, that was a pretty solid fight for Winthrop. The fact that they were able to get the engage, use a lot of their engage tools, things like the Encore coming through, as we're going to see in this replay. They think they have Kenji caught out, and they, as soon as that cosmic binding comes through and people don't explode, they're able to get some of that CC through, layer it with some stuns and things like the Nether Grasp, and you pick up some massive shutdowns. Abano gets one off of Armeo, and they're able to chase to get a little bit more. Maybe Winthrop do over chase a bit, but it ends up being the 4 for 4, and it ends up being some much needed gold in Winthrop's pocket.
And one of the cool things that you see about this Team Liquid composition unfolding is that when you look at Winthrop, this is how you deal with, you know, compositions that have very simple, you know, point and click lockdown buttons or simple go buttons, right? The Encore and the Nether Grasp are ways to start the fight off and guarantee that you engage onto one person or a group of people. But then Team Liquid, after those engage tools are burned, they just play outside of the range of Winthrop's own ability range. And they just wait it out and allow the rest of the members to circle around them, and that's how they pulled them apart.
And it's as you say, Mark, Winthrop being pulled apart at the moment here as more gold is going over to Team Liquid Academy. Another turret marking the third. No more outers available for Winthrop University. Means all the lanes get to be shoved in more. Means it's hard to walk in and clear vision as Winthrop unless you move as a group like you're seeing on your screen. And it just makes the Baron threat that much easier for Team Liquid Academy now that it is up and available. And you know what else is up and available soon? That Ocean Soul, but...
Okay, Mabud looking for the solo kill into Bradley, but it's about to be a 2-on-2. Abano and Harry have both teleported in, trying to lock down Bradley. Nether Grasp and the Dawning Shadow from across the rift. Vex will secure it. Harry cannot supply enough reinforcements to save his solo laner. And the rest of Winthrop showing up, 5-man squad, wanting to pressure this turret. Mabud no longer Mega. Harry looking for a pick on the Frost Forest. Frost Forest looking for the Heartbreaker, forcing Harry to get out with the distortion. Super low on HP, no longer can fight, and Winthrop will claim an objective bounty for the troubles.
Really nicely done. You get Bradley off of the map. It does cost you a teleport, but it's well worth it because you get an objective bounty. You get to shove this bot wave a lot further, and most importantly, you get yourself a little bit of breathing room. That's more gold that Winthrop gets to back and spend. They're getting close to these 2 item marks, and if you look across the board at some of these gold differences, I think the biggest one of note is Yon and Vex, but it's worth noting Vex did buy the support item, is going for that Fasting Center route, so it is a little harder to gauge. But Yon being 4-0-2, Mark, I think that's very easy to follow.
Yeah, if you want to compare it, you know, more accurately, you look at Yon and Kenji, since Kenji's the one that's doing the farming, and it's still a 2,000 gold difference at the very least. So, Yon has been... We already hyped up Yon on this area before, and the way that he was playing that team fight was absolutely gorgeous.
Right. I think, too, that kind of creates a win con here for Winthrop University. If they can commit all their CC tools and get rid of Yon, who is the bulk of the gold lead for TLA, that's how they come out on top in these team fights. And they are going to need to, Mark, because again, the Ocean Soul that we talked about, it's finally up and available for Team Liquid. Winthrop, if they want to win this game 1, they cannot let it go.
And Bradley here on the left side flank, looking for a way to pressure Winthrop from the backside. The way that Team Liquid can beat Winthrop's composition last time is to pull them apart, make sure that their back line is exposed when they, as the front line, attempt to move forward. Armeo on the right side flank, and they go in for the collapse. Armeo charging on through. Abano not going to be able to use the Nether Grasp this time in the fight. Armeo still on the back line. Frost Force looking for more damage.
The reset. Frost Force is resetting.
And Yon is still untouched. You talked about it before. If you can't kill Yon, you're not winning this fight as Winthrop University Team Liquid Academy showing their prowess once again on the Rift. And will answer with an ace.
And a beautiful fight from one of the best Academy has to offer. And even though Bradley loses his life for it, his ability to draw so much pressure, Mark, was such a big part of why that fight worked for TLA. Amateur superstar last year, Academy superstar here. And you're going to see it, how he threatens the backline on this Camille like we were expecting. Look how many people he is keeping track of. 3, while Abano is being taken apart apart in no time flat. It sets up the fight beautifully for Team Liquid Academy, who have gotten themselves the Ocean Soul.
And at this point, Ocean Soul, any team that has that buff is extremely hard to take down. And we already chalked it up being a tall task for Winthrop to face against Team Liquid Academy. And to be fair, there have been some great moves from Winthrop to answer back during the first 10 minutes of the game. Frost Force has gotten himself an admirable, respectable amount of gold to keep up with Armeo and his pressure across the entire map. But in these team fights, it is where you see the stark contrast of how players like Jan and Bradley, who came up through the amateur system through 2020 and 2021 respectively, are now being able to play with such ferocity, such decisiveness, and pulling apart the members of Winthrop.
You can see an example of that right on your screen, everybody. Mabud taken out, taken down in the side lane, which is going to allow Bradley to get so much more gold. And that means Armeo can get very aggressive now if he wants.
Onslaught of Shadows just right onto Kenji. The Encore, yes, it does lock them up temporarily, but it's not going to be enough to save his life. Tempered Fate onto the back line. Vex is in a lot of trouble. Frost Force trying to do everything that he can to protect his marksman from going down. They managed to survive, but Bradley still looming in the shadows on the right side of the flank, waiting for this wave to be pushed in. But Team Liquid are calling over to maintain control of the Baron side of the map.
As they should. You can't necessarily go for the dive without that Onslaught of Shadows, without the Hextech Ultimatum, so it just means they're going to get vision over this side. And you can see it, Winthrop, they can't let this one go. They know they're getting slowly snowballed.
And Bradley coming in, hook, line, and sinker right into the Columba 3. Alvano forced the flash, but Harry still has enough damage to pressure him away.
Teleport.
Not going to be enough to take him out. The rest of Winthrop are forced to retreat under their tower once again.
And look at, and that play is so good because you get that teleport. It was actually from Kenji. Does mean that Mabud is the only one you can have in this bottom lane right now, while so he can teleport to a top lane fight. But what does that mean, Mark? It means he's vulnerable.
Oh no, and he's about to go mini as well. He throws out the Mega Gnar ultimate, but now he's about to lose all those resistances, all that durability. He gets stomped. Team Liquid taking names.
It's just so easy. As soon as your teammate or teammates are ready, you pop the Hextech Ultimatum. Mark, where do they go? 2-item Camille, 2.5-item Hecarim. There's nowhere anyone on the side of Winthrop can hide in this situation. Now, jeez. Oh my god, did he just fully buy that?
Yes.
Armeo is a jungler after your own heart, Mark. Just sitting on thousands upon thousands of gold.
I mean, when you are walking around and you're strong enough that you can take fights even while sitting on 2K, 3K gold.
True.
And
might as well go for the dopamine.
Let me cash in one more full item just to flex how far ahead I am. 12,000 has more gold technically than Jan in terms of stats.
That is just unreal. And I mean, part of it comes from all the early game plays, early game kills that Armeo was able to pick up on. And it just shows in this gold lead that TLA have now. And I mean, gonna hold that thought.
Avano, can you get out of this one? Chains land. Harry still not popping all the damage quite yet. Nethergrass finally comes out, but Bradley is there to make sure that they have enough damage to take down Avano despite the point-and-click suppression.
And that's a Baron for TLA. They can go ahead and start that right now. And there's going to be very little Winthrop are going to be able to do about it, Mark. They have some of their teamfight tools available, but with the gold deficit they're in, with the Ocean Soul that TLA have, it would have to be a miraculous fight. And even that is something I don't think they're going to risk.
Now, Frost Forest and the rest of Winthrop University are just trying to go for any standing gold available in the mid lane, but the Tempered Fate from Ayla is going to stop them in their tracks. The objective bounty still gets picked up in the mid lane, but the rest of Winthrop now have to run because the rest of Team Liquid are pulling in the cavalry. Frost Forest dips right back on out. Heartbreaker to the right side. He's running over to the safety team above him. Mabud has already left the scene. He's like, hell no. Get those guys away from me. The crab emote. Frost Forest is definitely in a bad situation. He's chilling. He's like, hey, Jan, you mind letting me farm some creeps here? Let me just pad my CS stats real quick.
He's like, yeah, sure, buddy. No problem. Why don't you hold on to that? While Kenji also has no minions to be able to pad his stats for, excuse me. as Bradley is going to be the one stat padding here. Oh, that's brutal. He's going to let the minions do it. Baron buff kind of cool.
Yeah, that's
wait, what is happening? He's still here.
Dude, they're just keeping Frost Force alive. I mean, I don't mind this because this looks like next level BM, but what Team Liquid are doing is they're not letting Frost Force recall and be full health, and they're just keeping him as long as possible so that they have time to set up waves everywhere else on the map. And now Frost Force is dead for what, the next 45 seconds? That's 45 seconds where the Elder Dragon is spawning in 30. So Winthrop, that was going to be like their last chance at maybe coming back in this game. But if the jungler's not there for 15 seconds while it's spawned up, you know that Team Liquid should have that Elder Dragon dead to rights.
Yeah, with that in mind, I did wonder whether or not walking into the tower might have been the best bet, but maybe you're just holding on to a hope that you can make it happen. Oh my god.
Okay, 3-on-1. Bradley doesn't get a chance to use the Ocean Soul because he doesn't even get a chance to fight back. He's been suppressed. Kenji is shaded on the bottom side of the map, and Harry and Romero now going to put pressure into the inhibitor tower. More objective bounty gold. Winthrop, they're saying, hey man, we can't necessarily fight them one-on-one. We have to find ways to get back in this game, and I appreciate and I respect the effort.
And their hope now is that because they stalled some time with that play, Frost Force could, because he is on the map, could try and show up. You have confirmation the teleport is coming through, but it's looking like that it's too late. The Elder Dragon will go through. Baron available for 40 more seconds on TLA, and this means that with that execute, one more fight is all it is going to take. And if TLA were winning the fights before, Mark, it's only going to get that much harder for Winthrop University.
It is almost a 10,000 gold difference at 31 minutes into the game. Things are very, very, very tough for Winthrop University. But just take a look back at how Team Liquid, how well they have played to get here. And, you know, for those that didn't get a chance to witness the first few weeks of Academy, where Team Liquid were still waiting on most of their, members, Ayla playing in the LCS, Harry still visa troubles. It was rough for Team Liquid, and we didn't see him as high in the standings as we expected, but then once they got the full man squad together by week 5, week 6, and then they had a solid week of practice to get everyone back on the same page, this squad gets to play as confidently as they are right now.
And it just shows with that bottom inhibitor down, these TLA can immediately push into the mid one. They have no top lane, so the top inhibitor won't be under threat, but 2 essentially means damage is done. You have all your ults. If Winthrop step even an iota out of position, Mark, TLA will be there to punish with a vengeance. There's still about a good amount of time on that Elder buff, and they're just going to whittle away at the turret.
Encore is looked by Kenji, but does not hit anyone. Tempered Fate onto 3. They're setting up one Nexus Tower. Will fall.
Oh, here we go.
They all just pop to the sound of the Elder Dragon execute. Winthrop University, a valiant attempt, but Team Liquid, you should have known that you are watching the throne from the very beginning. Beatdown.
That's right, and Team Liquid, you shouldn't have let them get in their zone, but that's where they are, as it takes 33 minutes, but they will win Game 1 against Winthrop University.
That is the power of a top Academy squad right there. Yeah. And you can even see that Winthrop University, they are, what, the 4th amateur seed technically coming into this Proving Grounds tournament beatdown, right, if I'm not correct?
Something like that, yeah.
So, I mean, and you see that Winthrop made some decent plays. You know, they are the remaining collegiate team for a reason. They played, extremely well throughout the qualifier circuits getting up to this point. Team Liquid, though, is on a completely different level. And you get to see how even, players like Jan and Bradley, who were once in the same shoes as some of the Winthrop players, Bradley coming from Wildcard and playing in collegiate himself last year for Bethany Lutheran, and then Jan also playing on 100 Thieves Next in 2020. They had some of the same tendencies as some of the players right now, but they have leveled up thanks to their time in Academy and all the resources they have gotten.
And I think it was Joshi who actually said this on Twitter, which was such a fantastic point, where that it should have another great thing about Proving Grounds is that not only do we get to see some of the best amateur has to offer in North America, but seeing them up against Academy, up against players who, like you said, a year ago were in the same shoes as their amateur counterparts, shows that the resources matter. Shows that time and attention for these players to really develop shows that they can become something like Team Liquid Academy. And Team Liquid Academy is not the only great team we have in this tournament from the Academy scene, of course. There are several showing, kind of in a way, shows the potential that these amateur players can achieve.
And remember, this is still a best of 3. There's, you know, at max 2 more games if Winthrop are able to take 1 off of Team Liquid. But Team Liquid are currently 1-0. 1 more game will allow them to move on into the Proving Grounds upper bracket and send Winthrop to the lower bracket. We'll see if Winthrop can find a miracle win or if Team Liquid will continue to the dominance here after this break.